Pulling out. Road trip. A lot of trucks, a lot of vehicles here. My friends, this is Phoenix for Dummies. Let me get out of this truck stop. Woohoo! About to take these back roads. Gotta love Texas. It's got roads going in all directions in the middle of nowhere. And they'll all take you somewhere. All right, let's get this started. Phoenix for Dummies is a special request. Actually, Jesse Saltzman came and visited me. He's a traveling man. He's a member of Archaics. And he spent some time with me. And that was his suggestion. I need to do a Phoenix for Dummies video. So here it is. It's a van vlog. I'm on a road trip. I'm leaving Lake Conroe and I'm about to pass over, you already know it, Lake Livingston. I take this route frequently because one of my best buds is out here. He's ex-military, senior citizen. So I go out here quite often, spend some time with him when I'm not working. Weather's really bad today. I can't work in this weather. Actually I could, but it's kind of dangerous. I'm just not going to. I'm not gonna put my employees through it either. Texas weather is very unusual. It's very anomalous. We can have multiple different climates in a single day. So, Phoenix for Dummies. I am not by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, implying or insinuating that any of you listening to this video are dumb. Life is a circus and we all take turns being the clown. We all do dumb things from time to time, but it doesn't make us stupid. It doesn't make us dumb. Now, to get straight to the point, I have many new listeners, and the Phoenix phenomenon is mysterious to you, and several of you in the comment sections of my videos have gotten triggered because you're coming into contact with information that does not align or comport in any way with your present frames of reference. This is the problem with the Archaics data. You have to start slow. If you were to ask questions from other members of Archaics instead of just asking me questions, they will let you know really quick that it's a process. You cannot ask me a question in a comment and expect me to compress a lifetime of amassing thousands of data sets into an answer on a comment on a YouTube video and then get angry or get frustrated because I have an inability to do that. It's taken me 240 something videos just to convey everything that I've conveyed, and I assure you I have made the promises, and even my very first simulation video was my second video, and in that video I made promises. I have kept up and I have lived up to those promises. As a matter of fact, when I made that video, no one would have ever imagined when I made that simulation theory video, my second video ever, that I would have released over 240 videos. That's how much data I have. I'm not even halfway done. I have some really interesting content coming out. Like I said, the search never ends. So, in a nutshell, all the old belief systems that I formerly maintained are out the window. I personally believe, and I can show the data sets, that if you were to look at them, you would pretty much maintain the same conclusions. Most people have who have spent, like in the Archaics group, there are guys and women, there are people that have watched every single one of my videos, and they too have made the same conclusions. I just don't state things. I'm not some guy narrating a story and not providing you the source materials, because you can get them. You can verify everything I say. So the Phoenix phenomenon, it's very much a part of the simulacrum itself. And to educate you new guys, the simulacrum is our present existence. It is an editable existence. It's edited by us from within it, immersed in this Maya, this world of illusion that we are jacked into through our central nervous system. But it's also controlled, observed, and edited by humans on the outside. We are living in an ancestor simulation. Now, this simulation or series of timelines has gone through multiple edits. From outside the context of the simulation, these are just programming edits because we have figured things out and it's time to move forward. There's no reason to rerun past simulations, so we have a new starting point. But we have to edit it. We have to edit in the new starting point at a certain area. Like if 3,343 years of history have passed, and all the timelines now that we have lived through them all, we see and we've observed, now we see, okay, well, cool. This is the series of output that we were looking for. We can survive this, because that's what these simulations are all about. It's about human survival on an oncoming event. I call it the Nemesis simulation, because it's all about the foreknown collapse of a binary star and how it's going to affect both solar systems. How one solar system is going to die, and how we can get those worlds away from the dying star to the star that still remains without creating all kinds of solar system wide cataclysms. So the Phoenix phenomenon is initiated by something that is hidden in the sky. The starry canopy is not real. When you go outside in your backyards and you look up at 2 o'clock in the morning at that beautiful array of luminaries in the sky, you are looking into a multi-tiered hologram from the inside of like a toroid shell, a Dyson shell that's in the shape of a toroid. And you can thank Stephen Walsworth for putting me on that one. I have been really looking into the toroid geometry, and it does explain our anomalous situation. But the Phoenix phenomenon is a weapon hidden in the sky. It's activated every 138 years, but it does not mean that it affects everywhere every 138 years. It acts with discretion. I'm going to give you all the facts first, and then I'm going to give you an abbreviated version of how I came to these conclusions. Like I said, this is Phoenix for Dummies. If you really want to know about the Phoenix phenomenon, start with the very first video in the playlist and watch all 31 videos, and I promise you, you will be a Phoenix scholar. So, every 138 years, it can activate. When it activates, somewhere on this world is going to suffer mud floods, volcanic resurfacing. They're going to suffer liquefaction. A horn blast from the sky is so loud and deafening that solid objects liquefy from vibration. People, biology, we're made of biological shells. Well, it's very hard to bring something that is made of almost all liquids to bring it into resonance with a solid. If a horn blast from the sky is deafening, it's hurting, and it's hitting a certain decibel level, then glass is the first, crystal and glass is the first, and then all stone and then metal. It will vibrate at the same frequency. It will all be in resonance. When it does, everything loses its physical properties. The vibrations become so intense, the ground, the bedrock, the foundations of buildings, pyramids, pyramidal structures, ancient cities, wagons, wheelbarrows, whatever's on the ground, it just sinks. It just goes straight in the ground. The problem is the humans, it takes a while for them to build up in resonance. You can vibrate a human completely out of existence. We're made of liquids. Animals and humans, we're made of liquid. This is the reason why humans are able to get away. Humans to cover their ears and run and get out of the region, or go into a body of water where the resonance won't be applied. It'll actually be dissonance. So while everything is sinking, like Göbekli Tepe, like Mohenjo-Daro, like many ancient Sumerian cities where we found whole libraries buried intact at Nippur and Ur and Uruk and Nineveh. This liquefaction sinks the constructions of men, but the people themselves escape, or they just vanish. I'm not really sure, because we have found many underground cities and places, and archaeologists even theorize, absolute bullshit, they even theorize that places like Göbekli Tepe, because it was completely buried in mud that turned to dirt, solidified, was actually done by the people themselves before they left, which is a ridiculous notion. To have buried Göbekli Tepe in dirt would have required more labor and more man hours of work than building Göbekli Tepe itself. Cattle Huyuk as well. Same theory. It's stupid. The Phoenix phenomenon every 138 years acts with discretion, meaning we are being observed. When we hit a certain technological capacity, or when we hit a certain area of enlightenment in the collective, not in the individual, but in the collective, the Phoenix phenomenon activates as a reset protocol. It's devastating. It also operates at orders of magnitude, because in 3895 BC, in 1239 BC, and in 1687 BC, those 3 dates, easily known in recorded history, verified by many ways, and I show those ways in my other videos, mentioned by many chronographers in the ancient past and in modern times, backed up by scientific analysis in geology and archaeology, not making anything up. Every bit of it can be verified. I've got whole books published about these 3 dates and about the Phoenix phenomenon. Those 3 dates were pole shifts. They were devastating. Truly horrific what happened. Don't have any evidence of liquefaction on those dates, but the liquefaction events seem to be highly localized only in certain areas. They are not hemispheric. Every time the Phoenix phenomenon occurs, humans see it coming first. The first thing that's noticed is that all the red stars in the skies, which are, astronomers call them variable stars. Variable stars are not like other luminaries. Variable stars are called variable stars because they change their magnitudes, which is very unusual. Meaning sometimes they're very, very dim and sometimes they're very, very bright. In my Dark Realities video, I explained that these luminaries aren't true stars. These are local objects that are very close to our atmosphere. The Phoenix phenomenon is created by a holographic projector system. What I am describing is something that is technologically advanced. It's inside the simulacrum, or it's outside the simulacrum, but it creates phenomena optically and physically that's inside the simulacrum. Right before Phoenix happens, every time in the month of May, every 138 years, all the variable stars, they start tripping. They start getting bright and dim, they start flashing, and then all of a sudden, a fiery red dragon form appears in space, in the heavens, as seen from the surface of our world. Sometimes it devours the sun, sometimes it devours the moon, sometimes it darkens the sun and it turns the moon red. But every time, right here in our world, we suffer red rains, red mud, red fallout, red ash, all kinds of stuff falls. And like, since 1890, when we've been recording meteorological events, it's been reported by the media that it's always dust from the Sahara. And I've been getting frustrated with members of Archaics who keep parroting that same bullshit. It's been going on for over 100 years that's the exact explanation. My friends, the Sahara has white sand. Red dust is not going to come from deserts that are covered in white sand. But scientists are going to they're going to continue to state this. They have to. because that's what our scientists do. They try to perpetuate a world that is absolutely false and isn't real at all. These dusts are coming from the skies. They are not coming from anywhere on this world. Just like frozen tadpoles, frozen insects, fish, they come from the skies. They don't come from anywhere else on this world. There aren't enough typhoons and tornadoes and cyclones to suck up all the fish from the sea that have been rained on different countries. Yes, my friends. Another aspect of the Phoenix phenomenon are strange things falling out of the sky. So, every 138 years, this phenomenon, this engine apparatus hidden in the sky can activate. And it's amazing that in 5,700 years of recorded history, for which we have dates, and I have recorded in my Chronicon, we have 23 or 24. I got some new ones, so I'm not really sure where I'm at. But we have 23 or 24 different 138-year periods. And there's only 46 in that time period. That's phenomenal. The reason it's phenomenal is because thousands of libraries have been destroyed. Thousands of book burnings and purges. Christians blame the Muslims and Muslims blame the Byzantines, the Eastern Orthodox Christians, and the Romans blame the Carthaginians, and the Carthaginians blame the Romans. Phoenicians had vast libraries. They blame the Italians and the Greeks for stealing their copies. Library of Pergamum, it was sold to Carthage. Romans ended up getting that. They burned a bunch of those. Christian book burnings went on for over 1,000 years. And that was absolutely necessary. It was necessary because when the Christian chronographers like Justin and Augustine rewrote all the histories for Constantine and added in all these pseudo-histories that didn't even exist concerning Jesus, and they added in all these miracles and all these apostle deals that never were in the original text, they had to rewrite all these other books in order to lend it credence. Unfortunately, we have busted them. Scholars now know which areas of the books of Josephus and Philo-Judaicus and other ancient texts, Tatian, Tacitus, Julian, where all the forged texts are. We know this now, and it's easy to discern because what the early Catholics, Roman Church didn't take into consideration was that 1,000 years later, archaeologists would begin opening the tombs and catacombs of many people in Rome and surrounding areas in Italy, Vesuvius and Pompeii and Herculaneum, and we have a bunch of copies of those books. Books have been discovered. Even new books by Livy, it's all been discovered, and we see what the original copies convey. So, here I go entertaining another tangent. Me running my mouth. When it comes to the Phoenix phenomenon, we're talking about a weapon in the sky that is hidden, that was specifically designed to retard human development, slow humans down, because we are fascinating and absolutely industrious creatures. In my Archaics group, I say it all the time, it only takes 200 years to go from horse and buggy to Hadron Collider. And if you think that this is the first time we've been technologically advanced, you only think that because you are uneducated and have no knowledge whatsoever of the thousands of archaeological artifacts that have been found and revealed to the world through different venues. So, there are many places. If you go to my Facebook group, Archaics, you will see post after post after post that cites places where you can go to see these artifacts. Jonathan Gray of BeforeUs.com is a really good start. So is Forbidden Archaeology, and especially, they don't print them anymore, but if you can get your hands on anything written by William Cordes of the Sourcebook Project, you will have access to encyclopedic books that are packed with artifacts that cannot be explained today outside the context of technologically advanced civilizations existing in the ancient past. So, if it only takes us 200 years to go from horse and buggy to building Hadron Colliders, I promise you that we have been technologically advanced many times, and we can't really tell because these resets are very sophisticated. They happen in multiple dimensions, and they create new timelines, and they fracture old ones. And this is what my videos are about. Phoenix phenomenon is harrowing. harrowing. But it's almost as if a benefactor put it into place. And I address that in my videos as well. The Phoenix phenomenon is not entirely evil. It seems to target areas that are godless, that are moving in the wrong directions in their like Sodom and Gomorrah. Good, you know what? Good example, Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah weren't destroyed by the Phoenix phenomenon. Jews got that wrong when they wrote those traditions in the Jewish Haggadah. But what they did get right was that the angel of death visits destruction upon our world every 138 years. Hey, I need to repeat that, because if you're not paying attention, 31 videos on the Phoenix should really stand out to you as something very intriguing. You should want to watch these videos, because I've isolated a 138-year period where these destructions happen, and they're like clockwork. And we have all the chronological evidence and proof to show it, to demonstrate it, and yet it's backed up in the historical and traditional record. Something prompted the ancient Babylonians to put this together. I say Babylonians because almost 100% of everything of Jewish context was stolen from the ancient Near East. I'm sorry if that offends some of y'all. I used to be a Christian. Spent the first 40 years of my life as a Christian. Washed in the blood, twice baptized, youth groups, Christian choir. I led many people to Christ in my life. I used to pray, I used to fast, I used to witness. I used to do all that. And I've already seen in the comments where some of you think I'm an apostatizing bastard. That's okay. I get it. I understand why you're triggered. It's very hard to accept the archaics research, especially if you're not the one that conducted it. But you have no excuse. You have no excuse. I provide over 240 videos for free, and about 500 posts in the Archaics Facebook group. You can read them for free. I also provide PDF files of my books for free. A lot of people want to order them. That's fine. Go ahead. And some of my books you have to order because my publisher won't let me give them away for free. All right, I've written about 20-something books, guys. A lot of them are on Gumroad. You can go to Gumroad and I sell the books for $3, $4, $5. Yeah. Gumroads are PDFs you can download. I got them advertised in the announcement section of every single one of my videos. You can go down in the links and you can see all the published books that I have that you have to order from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, because I'm under contract and my publisher won't let me give them away for free. And I understand, publishing is a business. So, but books that I have written and self-published, you can get them for free. It's not a problem. My email is in the comment section. You can email me. I answer my emails. Sometimes it takes me a week, but I answer my emails. But my donation links are below too. Yeah, I could always use donations. Hell, the more donations I get, I can quit doing what I'm doing now, and I can just do full-time. Man, I can put out a lot of material. I can do videos daily, and still do this for years. I can get all my Chronicon out and all that. The only problem is unless I'm getting about 2,000 a month, there's no way I can stop working. I just can't. I got too many bills, things to pay for. Cost of living. But if I did ever come across a benefactor who did provide that, believe me, I would go into overdrive. You would not believe the amount of material I would be releasing on a weekly basis. It would shock you. And the reason I'm saying this is because in 26 years of prison, I've already conducted the research. I don't have to do it. All I have to do is put it together. Edit it, collate the data, go through all I have boxes and boxes and boxes of research notes. And every single fact in every data set has the publisher, date of publication, where I derived the report, who published it, what the scientists' names were, title of the report, title of the book, all that. I'm very meticulous in my source materials. I'm just like Pliny the Elder. If you guys don't know who Pliny the Elder was, the man had 747 sources to his single book, Natural History. If you have not read Pliny's Natural History, you're missing out. I've read it about 4 times and learned something new each time. It represents the science of the day 2,000 years ago, but he's citing books that are far older. The majority of those books do not exist anymore. 747 sources. 147 of them were, 5 474, let me correct that, 474 sources, 174 were just Roman writers. 100 of them, we don't even know who they are. All those libraries have been destroyed. So back to the Phoenix phenomenon. The Phoenix phenomenon, I could do another 50 videos on the Phoenix phenomenon and just go into exquisite detail. Like I said, I need the time to do that, but I could. I have the data. Like I said, it's Phoenix for dummies, so I can't go off and do a lot of detail. So, in a nutshell, it's a weapon hidden in the sky. It can activate every 138 years, but we don't have records that it did activate every 100. It skipped one or two times every once in a while. Then we have a stretch in the Bronze Age to the days of Rome where it didn't miss a beat. It appeared like 9 times in a row. The single most chaotic time in world history was from about 1963 BC all the way to 721 BC. We had 10 or 11 Phoenix appeared all back to back, didn't miss a beat. We have the records for each one, every 138 years like clockwork. It was appearing like clockwork so much that we even have 4 different times at that period of history where it was predicted. And even militaries used it to their advantage to scare the enemy. Pretended to be spellcasters. When the moon turned red and the sun darkened, and rocks fell out the sky, massive earthquakes, geologic upheavals. So, but the Phoenix phenomenon is a cataclysm protocol. It's not a real planet. It's not an intruder planet. It's not leaving the solar system and coming back, because everything you see in the sky is a simulated solar system. So it doesn't leave and come back. It actually, it really doesn't exist until those variable stars start tripping and they start all blinking and changing their magnitudes. And because I believe those are nodal apertures, projectors. They are simulacrum projectors that create phenomena. Just like intense storms are phenomena that are created. Listen, you guys have common sense. If our science is so sophisticated that we've been to the moon and we've sent probes outside the solar system, if our science is so sophisticated that we have performed splitting atoms and the discovery of positrons and neutrinos and all this BS that we're told, if our science is so sophisticated that we have done all of this exploration on our world, how is it that weathermen can't 100% accurately predict the weather? If you have weather stations set up every 5 miles, then you already know what the weather is in real time. Follow me? Weathermen aren't predicting anything. They know what the weather is in real time everywhere. And if the winds are headed, 15 mile an hour winds with 20 mile an hour gusts at south by southeast, then they automatically know the path of a storm, so their prediction is merely a trajectory inferred by geometry. This ain't actual predictions. All you're doing is giving us projections based off past telemetry. Very easy to do. That's what weathermen do. But every time they're wrong, what do weathermen tell you? Oh, it ended up being a beautiful day today. We're so proud. We're so glad to live right here in Corpus Christi, Texas. Beautiful weather and all that. We had a high pressure system coming. Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about your low pressure systems and your high pressure systems that they're completely used as explanations as to why the weather didn't go the way the weathermen said it was going to go. My point in telling you all this is about the weather. The weather isn't caused by a ball spinning around on an axis. Weather isn't caused by that at all. There are no 1,000 mile an hour winds up there in the atmosphere. The problem, we got some high wind where I'm going. My God. So, wind is beating on my buzz here. Wow. crosswind is pushing my van. And I'm in a forest. That must be a hell of a wind. And the temperature just dropped. It's freezing cold in here right now. Wow. It's starting to rain. I told you, Texas, hey, my videos ain't gonna make a liar out of me. I just went from hot and humid to cold, just like that. Amazing. All right, so weathermen, the weather isn't caused by the Newtonian physics that we're led to believe. It's caused by something else. It's called, the simulacrum has its own protocols. It's not easy to anticipate it. Freak weather systems have happened all the time. So, yeah, if our science was that sophisticated, then, we would be able to tell people about tornadoes 30 minutes before they appear. It's not, but it's not. So the Phoenix phenomenon, it's something hidden in the sky, but visually people look up and see what looks to be like a broken world, a broken planet. The ancients called it a fiery red dragon. They called it many things though. But this Phoenix phenomenon research isn't just isolated to the 138-year chronology that I have published widely and documented. After years of conducting this research and looking in different avenues, I find it referenced in many other places. Not the Phoenix phenomenon, but the event itself. The prophecies of Mother Shipton, I find the Phoenix, and the exact date for its return in 2040. In the prophecies of Nostradamus, again, we have the date index of Mario Reading, where he isolates some very, very Phoenix-related catastrophic events for the year 2040. David Davidson's research on the Great Pyramid isolates the year 2040 several times in his measurements. That was back in 1924. My own isometric projections, which is an independent series of data sets that has nothing to do with the 138-year periodicity of the Phoenix. The isometric projections are different, and yet I have 2 chapters. Why it's getting loud in here? I have 2 chapters in my books. And When the Sun Darkens, I have 2 whole chapters that show, I don't know, maybe 40-something isometric projections from world history that all end on 2040, that all show in the holographic nature of historical events and how they unfold in their palindromic nature that, look, what happened back here in 1778 and over here in this other year, which is the isometric epicenter, and anybody can use a calculator to verify any isometric projection that I have ever done. These aren't made up. This isn't something that I made. You can do the math yourself. And those who have been listening to my channel for a while, you're already bored with isometric projections. You already know. This is mainly Phoenix for Dummies. So I have 2 whole chapters showing that 2040 is the date, which nothing but it further validates the 138-year deal. So other evidence about the 138-year holography is interesting because it comes in the form of the ancient lunar calendar. The Egyptians were really big on dating things by months, not years. And there is an Egyptian text that refers to a flooding happening at the end of a 1,656 month period. That's really interesting because 1,656 months is 138 years. In Central America is a pyramid complex built by the Toltecs. The dimensions of those pyramids relate to the number 138. And I have shown this in a post in Archaics and in a video. The height and the distance between both pyramids, both of them are commensurate with 138's value, the value of 138. But pyramids being associated to 138 is not novel, because the Great Pyramid in Egypt, the only pyramid in the entire world that has an ascendant passage, that has a grand gallery, that has a king's chamber, and has an antechamber going into the king's chamber. No other pyramids in the world have these features, because no other pyramids in the world were built when these features were known. The upper portions of the Great Pyramid in Egypt were sealed off for thousands of years. During the entire history of the pharaohs, no pharaohs knew that the king's chamber was there. It was unknown. It was sealed. It wasn't until the year 820 Common Era, about 12 centuries ago, that Al-Mamun and his expedition, the Caliph of Baghdad in modern-day Iraq, back then it was Babylon, he tunneled into the Great Pyramid and found a passage leading up. First human in recorded history who went up there, and they found absolutely nothing. They were shocked. They were thinking there would be all kinds of treasures in those chambers and all that. But the treasures, they're there. But they're in rectilinear geometrical proportions. I have another 30 videos on my Giza Secrets Revealed playlist. A lot of people are turned off by my research on the pyramids, but I have yet to have anybody refute it. And I'm looking for somebody to do it, because I shine. I am best in my, I don't know, man, my erudition and acuity comes out when I'm under attack. If I can just get somebody to give me a really scathing critique on my pyramid research or on my Phoenix research, I will provide videos that will then blow your mind. Because by nature, I am aggressive. By nature, I'm a fighter. I have been all my life, and it really comes out of my intellectualism when I'm attacked. So if there's anybody who knows somebody, even Graham Hancock, I invite you, Graham Hancock, Robert Schock, Robert Bovell, Andrew Collins, any of you guys, it's not personal. I will not take it personal. But please critique my Phoenix research. Please critique my Great Pyramid research. Because only in answering a critique, only in the composition of an apology will I shine. And I promise you, when I'm answering in defense of my beliefs, I am far more meticulous than I am when I'm just doing an ordinary exposition like I am now. So, having said all that, wow, Lake Livingston's got some big waves. For y'all that don't know it, Lake Livingston is almost as big as some seas in other countries. Lake Livingston is gigantic. It's either the largest or second largest in the state of Texas. And Texas is bigger than most countries in the world. It's huge. I love that. I can drive all day in Texas and never leave the damn state. I know I talk too much about Texas, man. I'm sorry. Some of y'all are not in Texas and not able to get here. I get it. Tessa, I get it. Want to come here. I shouldn't rub that in people's faces. I'm proud of my state. Even though my state locked me up for 26 years, I love my state and I love its people. I have no problem with law enforcement. As a matter of fact, me and my friends are in law enforcement. I got some buddies that are cops, sheriff's deputies. But my whole circle of friends is ex-military. Now I guess it's because I'm basically a biker. I need to figure out how I can put my camera on the motorcycle. I got a 2018 Fat Boy. It's a 1,000 pound motorcycle, all chromed out. It's awesome. It's beautiful. And I would love to do videos on it. I just can't talk while I'm doing them on it, doing the videos on it. And so I'm gonna tell you now, some of y'all disagree with this, and that's fine. That's what makes us people. That's what makes us so diverse. I do not wear a helmet, and I will never wear a helmet. Don't get me wrong. When I first got my motorcycle license, I did try to wear a helmet. I tried 2 different kinds, trying to be safe as possible. There is a totally different dynamic involved when you're wearing a helmet riding a motorcycle than when you're just. I just wear a skull cap and my goggles because I protect my eyes. On long rides, I wear a face mask because let me tell you something: when a locust hits you in the face, you're gonna feel it. So anyway, the dynamic is that a helmet. All my senses are up here. My sight, my hearing is very important on a motorcycle because when I'm not wearing a helmet, I can hear engines of other vehicles. I can hear how the front of another vehicle is cutting the wind, and I can basically tell just by the audio, just by listening, I can tell if it's a small car, a vehicle, another motorcycle, or a big vehicle like a truck that's coming up. I can even tell if it's coming up on my left flank or my right flank. Hearing is very important on a motorcycle. When I wear a helmet, it takes all that away from me. I was so scared when I put a helmet on. I was not scared when I didn't have a helmet. When I put a helmet on, I went into a panic. I even pulled over and took the helmet off, and I had to collect myself, and I put the helmet back on, and I tried to get back on the interstate again. I pulled back over. I threw that helmet in a ditch. It scared the shit out of me because the wind whistling through there kept me from hearing all the traffic around me. And even on the interstate, man, I need to hear everything. I can hear. As long as I can hear it, I can. My motorcycle is so powerful. The torque is so much. If you guys don't know about Fat Boys, the wheels are almost as wide as the motorcycle. My back wheel is 240 millimeters wide. The back wheel is gigantic. The front wheel is wider than most Harleys' back wheels on other Harleys. So the bike is low to the ground, it's super wide, the tire is so wide, the torque is so great that when I throttle it, there's no spinning of that tire. When I throttle it, that tire grips 100% of that asphalt, and it catapults me forward. There is no cars coming up behind me fast that I can't get away from. But I can't get away from anything if I'm wearing a helmet and I can't hear it. Same thing with my eyes. Helmets totally kill my peripheral. I may as well put a horse blinder on. Can't see anything. I don't know, man. Helmet. Yeah, I understand the concept of a brain bucket and you want to protect yourself, but you know what? We live in the simulacrum. Maybe back when I was a Christian, I'd be scared to death. I'm not scared to death anymore. I don't even care. I've already had 2 motorcycle accidents, and one of them actually resulted in an epiphany. And I already mentioned that twice in other videos. I'm not going into that now. I had an NDE, near-death experiment. I go into a lot of details. I was at the most peace of my entire life, walking around talking to people, not realizing how hurt I was. While they were looking at me screaming, seeing all the blood and rebar through my arm and my body all broken up, my motorcycle twisted. I said, yeah, it's, you know what? Most beautiful experience of my life was a 4 or 5 minute period after I probably died or almost died. And I was just walking around I was cool with it. I was so interested in other people during that 4 minutes. Here I am talking about it again. So, Phoenix for Dummies. Sometimes I need somebody in the co-pilot seat to navigate my conversation because I'll entertain tangents. So, every 138 years, we have something to worry about. 18 more years from now, the Phoenix phenomenon is going to be one of its worst ones. The reason we know this is because it's the last. The prophetic narrative, eschatology, it's over with. These are the last days. The last days began in 1902. The foundation of the Great Pyramid was year 1 on the last days calendar. And I know this, Phoenix has everything to do with the Great Pyramid too. So, I have videos that explain the Great Pyramid calendar and where we are in 2022 and how this is the year 5916 Annus Mundi, how all this is recorded in the Great Pyramid. And these aren't my measurements. You have to understand, 100% of all the dates in my research were derived from other materials, and I cite my sources. I didn't make up any of these dates for the Phoenix. Next, all the data sets that I have published come from scientific sources like Sir Flinders Petrie. Even today in 2022, Egyptologists and academia accept the scientific measurements of Sir Flinders Petrie as he measured the Great Pyramid of Egypt, every rectilinear measurement, inside and out, with micrometers to the 1,000th of an inch. I use those measurements, and by using those measurements, I compare them with the events of world history. I can pretty much map out the entire history of the world using the Great Pyramid. It's not even a mystery to me no more. I have a whole bunch of videos that explain it. And I'm sure looking for a critic. I'm sure looking for somebody with qualifications who wants to cross that Rubicon with me. I'm ready. I'm ready. Because a bunch of you guys, as soon as that critique occurs, it opens up a door that I'm looking for. I would really like to take some of these guys' books and just go chapter to chapter and show not only where they're wrong, but where the correct information is. Because that's what 26 years of prison did for me. It allowed me to realize that 99% of the shit, bullshit published today is that. It's absolute crap. And these publishers pay these guys hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to put that shit out. You know what? I'm fed up with it. I'm a fighter, and I'm looking for that conflict. So I know some of you, hey, I understand the concept of 6 degrees. I know some of you that listen to my videos know people in prominent positions who know or have personal friends of the people that I'm mentioning. By all means, man, spread the word, man. I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out. Now, it's going to be a different story if they research the material and they ask me for more data and I give it to them and they conclude that, damn, you're really onto something. That's a totally different scenario. They might end up being my best bud then, but I'm really looking for a critique. Because all my life, my progress has always been through conflict. It's who I am. Put an obstacle in front of me, it's not going to stay there long. I promise you that. All right, getting on 31. What is it? 3152. Heading through those back roads. I love my road trips. Oh, for those of you who don't know, I have never been accused of being normal. So, some of my videos, I call myself the archaic road scholar. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a scholar at all. I spent my whole life doing the research that scholars should be doing, but they're not. When I'm a man at 48 years old today, with an 8th grade education, I ran away from home at 15 years old. Something was wrong with me. I traveled for 2 years as a runaway. 17 years old, I was in prison. By 23 years old, 24 years old, I was supposed to be released from prison. The circumstances beyond my control just took off. It is what it is. But I wouldn't be the man I am today had all that had not happened in prison. I've been hurt real bad in prison, and I also hurt other people. And you know what? None of that matters. None of that even matters. There is nothing about a man's past that defines him. Every single one of you listening to my voice, you have to understand, man, who you are. Every moment of our existence is pregnant with possibility. Every moment is pregnant with possibility. And if you don't understand any of that stuff, if you don't understand that you can alter the entire trajectory of your life just by living a different life and moving, then you just don't. You just don't get it. Just past that highway patrol. You know, it's probably a state trooper. These old back roads, man, they haunt these back roads. You can't come through here doing 90 miles an hour. I'm going 60. You can't come through here doing 90 miles an hour on these boys. So anyway, like I said, I'm entertaining tangents. The Phoenix phenomenon is a discretionary phenomenon. It picks and chooses, or its controllers pick and choose what it's going to affect. And that's unusual. But the discretion goes even deeper, because I have provided evidence in some of my videos and posts in Archaics that the Phoenix phenomenon may be a benefactor weapon. The more I look into its particulars, the more I'm finding that over and over, it's just it seems to be. I wish this man wouldn't be trying to call me in the middle of my video. So it it seems to me that a benefactor created the Phoenix phenomenon or hijacked it in order to target the elite. I just have to say it. More and more I'm seeing evidence that the Phoenix phenomenon takes out elitist cities, elitist facilities. It knocks them back down because the elite, for some reason, have always been controlled. There has never been a time in world history where the ruling families were not ruling. They just changed their identities, and they also changed their times. You have to understand, the whole theory of the 13 families, it may be true, it may not be, I don't know. But what I have seen in my research is that there are different arms of this state, of this deep state, of this ruling hierarchy over humanity. There are different arms, and they're just like the Rosicrucians, who disappear and they quit proselytizing for 108 years. And then for 108 years, they're very active, getting membership, they're all doing charities and all that stuff. The same thing with the elite. When the world has tired or grown fed up with a certain echelon of the elite, they're removed by another echelon of the elite who are regarded as the good guys. But these are not good guys. They're just another arm of the same hydra. It's the same old game over and over. And because they have this structure of ruling the world, no matter what kings get dethroned and all that, that means the common people are always going to be subjugated. The Phoenix phenomenon seems to be retarding their development, their ability. Because if they were to have their way every single time, what is the common denominator between dictators throughout history? It is the creation of an empire. What do empires do? They seek to control all of the world they can. So basically, empirism is globalism, or if you don't like the globe model, I'm not a glober or a flat earther, and I'm not just trying to stay neutral either. I'm a simulationist, and simulation theory encompasses both. All the facts and evidences that are provided in flat earth are answered in simulation theory. All the proofs and evidences that we live on a planet going around the sun are answered and explained in simulation theory, because we're not. I promise you that. Everything is simulated to make you believe that it is, but it's not. I'm telling you. I tell you guys all the time, not only is our world not what you think, but the stars lie. All right, crossroads. I guess that trooper wasn't interested in me after all. I was going about 80 when I went through there. I slowed down to 60, but I didn't use my brakes to do it. All right. So, it's looking a lot nicer. The temperature has dropped, but it looks a lot nicer. It's not raining on me. So the Phoenix phenomenon will happen in 18 more years. What's going to occur is lithospheric displacement. It hasn't happened since 3895 BC. I'm not just throwing that date out there, guys. I know some of you newcomers, you're just not there yet. You're not able to even process most of this information because you haven't seen the data. But the data sets are there for you to see. So if you can hang in there, you're going to learn on my channel things that you have never would have learned anywhere else. That does not mean other people cannot provide value at all. What it means is that you have an archive of data for which the world would have never known about had I not put it together. And it would have never been put together had not the big man upstairs, whoever he is, God or goddess, had not put me in prison to do this. And not only just put me in prison, but instilled within me that innate drive to discover, to want to know history, to learn. We're not free. We're not free at all. We're given choices, which is the illusion of freedom. We're not free at all. Something induced me to do this, so I'm doing it. And when you're listening to my voice, you're listening to the voice of a man who started this video 25 years ago. And I know some of y'all get me. Some of y'all understand what I'm saying. Every bit of this was preordained. And I'll continue doing these videos to the day I die. Because there's always new ways to demonstrate old things. Always. Never run out of content. So, the Phoenix phenomenon is not an intruder world. It's not a planet. It is a cataclysm protocol, which is because you live in a simulated world, a simulated environment. Outside the simulation, there are humans who are observing and watching all these things. Maybe they control the Phoenix phenomenon. I don't know. But if they control the Phoenix phenomenon, then that means they also control the Nemesis X object. It also means they control a dark satellite. And that's pretty scary. So, one thing that I address in my dark realities video, but I don't really talk about in other videos, is the fact that I have a personal belief that inside the simulacrum is another species trapped in here with us. They're not aliens and extraterrestrials from outer space, because in the context of a simulated environment, we're in a Dyson shell. And inside this Dyson shell, there is no access to space. You're not going out there. We're not going up there. 4 different space shuttle crews on sophisticated space shuttles never went to the moon. Those are more sophisticated than the damn Nazi rockets that NASA built for the Apollo project. Anyway, the Phoenix phenomenon is very real. In 1902 was probably one of the most sophisticated resets that we've experienced, because it was layered. It seems to me, man, you guys got to understand, man. Some of you in the comments are so lost. You're so lost, and I get that. This is all new to you. But the definition of reset has been hijacked by other YouTubers who don't know what the F they're talking about. A reset does not mean a total cataclysm, man. Just because there's just because cities have been destroyed 17 times by earthquakes and avalanches and mudslides, and you can see the evidence of older architecture, man, that's very common. Man, I hate some of these YouTube videos. I'm going to tell you now, I am not a fan of John Levy. I am not. Many of you have asked me about John Levy and all that. I am not a fan of John Levy for one reason, he's an anthropologist. If you claim to be an anthropologist, then in order for your peers to take you seriously, you have to accept the uniformitarian model of history. I can never accept that. I will never accept the uniformitarian model. I'm just not, and my videos explain all that. The uniformitarian, evolutionary, natural selection process model of history cannot be correct, because we have fossilized jellyfish found all over the world, fossilized butterflies, we have all kinds of creatures that were found in stone that exist anatomically precise to what are existing today. It's not possible. If the KT boundary of iridium is truly 65 million years old, then why are human skeletons found underneath it? I'm not trying to hear it. So, they might sell you guys that bullshit. They're not going to sell it to me. I read the book Evolution Cruncher, and I've read many other books also, but after reading Evolution Cruncher, I don't need to read anything else. There's over 1,000 data sets in that one book alone that prove the entire theory of evolution, natural selection as absolute total crock of shit. But to be an anthropologist, you have to accept that paradigm. You have to accept that model. You were educated. All your money was spent being educated under that paradigm. So you process information through filters that you were basically brainwashed to believe. So John Levy, and I'm not personally attacking John Levy. I'm explaining basically that I can't accept his conclusions and research. You can't show me a video and give me a slow verbal monologue about all these histories, and you're not citing me any sources I can go verify. You're not a chronologist at all. And you're showing me this visual canopy of images that don't prove your case. They just prove that these cities had suffered disasters. Let me tell you something. The city of Jericho in Israel was rebuilt 17 times. There are 17 layers of occupation in Jericho. There are many other ancient Near Eastern cities that have the same number and even more. It's because they'll live in the city for 213 years and there'll be an earthquake. They got to rebuild. What's the best building material? Well, it's the broken stones and rubble that's all around us. So let's just fill in all the gaps, pour some lime and all that shit, make a foundation and build new houses. And they did it. They did it 17 times. So that is not evidence of your resets and mud floods and all that. The Phoenix phenomenon is very definitive. I showed where these things were written about in historical record when they happened in modern times. I give you the exact dates when they happened. You asked me about the missing 1,000 years, but you ain't even looked at my videos. Some of you made comments about, well, this can't be right, man, because they took out 1,000 years. Listen, man, you can't get a YouTube education and try to correct me, especially if you haven't gone to my YouTube videos to see where I have addressed these things. Those of you who are triggered about me not being a flat earther, you haven't watched my flat earth video. You would understand why. You would understand, because you can't refute what I put in that video. It's phenomenal. I don't believe we live on a globe either. So, I have a video about Flamingo, the missing 1,000 years, and you would do well to go check it out. All right, I'm pulling in this gas station. I'm 2 minutes from where I need to be. I'm gonna end this video because this is Phoenix for Dummies. I'm going off on all these tangents. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope that none of us stay dumb.